Yo, what's going on, guys? It's Houston Sports Talk back another video day, and today we're going to be talking about the Houston Texans potentially signing Xavien Howard as training camp is getting pretty close and just just about a week away from the veterans and rookies reporting to training camp for the Houston Texans. That is on July 17th. It is July 9th, so almost a week away. And then the Texans play on August 1st or August 2nd in the NFL 2024 Hall of Fame game against the Chicago Bears. So less than a month away, basically almost a little bit over 3 weeks away from the Houston Texans' first game, even if it is a preseason game, and almost a week away until the Houston Texans veterans and rookies report to training camp. But there was an article the other day on Bleacher Report that was best landing spots for top defensive free agents before NFL training camp. And of course, Xavien Howard, former Miami Dolphins cornerback, was on this list, four-time Pro Bowler, one-time All-Pro, who is from Houston, Texas, just recently turned 31 years old on July 4th. I mean, I wonder what that must be cool to have your birthday on July 4th. I mean, I know there's just this past week, but that always has to be a good celebration, right? But four-time Pro Bowler, one-time All-Pro. And this has been a signing that I feel like I've seen people have been talking about this potential signing for the Texans for months. And almost every time I see someone bring it up, I think it's Bleacher Report. I mean, I think Bleacher Report really wants to see the Houston Texans sign Xavien Howard because the best landing spot that they named for Xavien Howard, which, like I said, of course he was on this list, was the Houston Texans. I mean, you definitely couldn't argue with that take right there, just because of the fact that the Texans really could use another cornerback on this roster. Although, I mean, I've said this, as much as I'd love to see Xavien Howard on this roster, I think he'd be a great addition for the Texans. There's a lot of depth on this Texans team right now at the cornerback position. Sure, no one at the cornerback 2 that I believe is as good as Xavien Howard. Sure, you have Derek Stingley Jr., as the starting cornerback, the best cornerback on the roster, cornerback 1. And then if you go over the rest of the, if you look at the rest of the cornerbacks on this roster right now, you have C.J. Henderson, you have C.J. Henderson, you have Jeff Okudah, they just drafted Kamari Lassiter. Who else am I missing? Mike Ford is someone they just signed from Cleveland. So there's a lot of depth at this cornerback position. There are other guys who can play cornerback on this roster, potentially like Desmond King II, who might be playing nickel most of the time for the Texans on defense, but could be playing corner for the Texans as well. So besides Stingley, I don't think there is anybody on this Texans roster at corner that is better than Xavien Howard, but there's a lot of depth. I mean, you have Jeff Okudah, you have Mike Ford, you have Kamari Lassiter, you have C.J. Henderson. So a lot of depth at the cornerback position. So I really wonder if that would stop the Texans from potentially going after Xavien Howard. But last season, Howard played 13 games, 13 starts, 1 interception, 12 passes deflected with 45 tackles with 1 tackle for loss. 2022, he was a Pro Bowler with 15 games, 15 starts, 1 interception with 12 passes deflected, 2 fumble recoveries, which he returned for 16 yards and a touchdown, 45 tackles for 1 tackle for loss. 2021, he was a Pro Bowler with 16 games, 16 starts, 5 interceptions, returned those for 54 yards and 1 touchdown, 16 passes deflected, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, 51 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 sack, 50 tackles. Last year, I'll go over his best year of his career, 2020. He was an All-Pro and absolutely was killing it in the NFL in 2020. I mean, he was locking up guys like Tyreek Hill. He was making some of the best wide receivers in the NFL look pretty bad. 2020, 16 games, 16 starts, 10 interceptions, 77 yards return on those 10 interceptions, 20 passes deflected, which I believe was most in the league. And he also had one forced fumble. He had 51 tackles with one tackle for loss. So, I mean, I really think that the Texans could really benefit by bringing in Xavien Howard. And I'm not by me going over all the depth on this team at the cornerback position. It's not me trying to find ways for reasons why the Texans should not sign Xavien Howard. But it's just, for me, it's a couple reasons why I think they would potentially stay away from bringing in Xavien Howard or another cornerback that could potentially, be a veteran that the Texans would like to bring in, because two guys like Jeff Okudah and C.J. Henderson sure aren't great players, but they're two young guys who have done solid things on weaker defenses, and I've always thought that C.J. Henderson and Jeff Okudah coming into this, to this Texans defense with D'Amico Ryans coaching them, they'll improve their careers. They're two guys who, yes, for top picks have been bust, but have been terrible cornerbacks. And then Kamari Lassiter is someone that Texans just drafted from Georgia, who I know I like a whole lot. I know a lot of Texans fans like him too. So, look, I think if Xavien Howard comes on to this Texans team, I think it's going to be a one-year thing. I don't see it being long-term with the Texans, especially with him being 31 years old. But not only just him being 31 years old, but also the fact that the Texans are building a very nice young core at the cornerback position with not just Stingley Jr., but also C.J. Henderson, Jeff Okudah, who I believe are both signed to multi-year deals, and then obviously Kamari Lassiter, who was just drafted, who I really like. So I wouldn't have a problem with the Texans bringing in Xavien Howard, but I think I would if it's more than 1 year. Obviously, I don't think the Texans are going to sign him to a multi-year deal. I would be surprised if anybody signed him to a multi-year deal. But I think I'd be a little upset if the Texans signed him to like a 1 year deal now and then brought him back next season as well, unless he completely went off with the Texans this year. Because I want the Texans after this season potentially to focus more on the development of their younger players on the defensive side of the ball, and especially at the cornerback position. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section, and peace out. Go Texans.